everyone, I'm Jennifer Jiggis with Quilters Select, and I want to introduce you today to two rulers. These are the Quilters Select half rectangle triangle rulers. Whew! And they come in a right and a left. So we are lovingly referring to these as the twins. If you have ever worked with a commercial quilt pattern that has right and left half triangle units, you know how confusing that can sometimes be, or miscuts that occur because we are trying to figure out, are we cutting the right or the left half triangle unit? So these rulers have taken care of that for you. They are clearly marked like left and right, so you know which unit to cut. When we're working with things like triangles, diamonds, half triangle units, we're often working with the height of the unit versus the finished size of the unit. So we're going to take a look today at how to use these for basic cutting. Once you get them in your hand and you work through the primer project that we're going to talk about, you are going to find so many ways to use these in your sewing and quilting projects. So to start with, if you've not done half rectangle units before, this is where we're going. So you can see that we have this division right through our rectangle. And again, we're going to be basing our cuts on the finished height of this rectangle. So in this case, we have a rectangle that is 6 inches finished. So we would cut a 6.5 inch strip. I've already cut a couple of strips here to show you how we work with the rulers themselves. Now these do feature our non-slip coating on the back side, so the entire surface of the ruler is going to grip your fabric and it's not going to go anywhere. This is especially handy when we're talking about rulers where you have very specific cuts. When we're working with things like triangles and half triangle units and diamonds, there are a lot of intersections and a lot of points, and so we want to make sure that our cutting is as accurate as is possible. You'll also notice that on the top of the ruler, it's been nipped across the top. That way, when we start to join our units together, and you have this place where, in this case, there are 6 different pieces of fabric that are coming together, nipping that point helps to eliminate the bulk and keeps things nice and flat and aligned. You're going to become a better quilter automatically by using these rulers with those nipped off points. The other thing that will really help for your precision is using an appropriate thread. So I like to use a combination of Quilters Select 60 weight thread in my needle and 80 weight thread in my bobbin. This is going to give you a nice fine but strong seam, so that again, it's going to help to eliminate bulk in those areas where you have a lot of fabrics that are coming together in one place. Now, a note on thread. I do love my 60 and my 80 weight thread together. Neutrals can be anything that you want them to be. When I'm working with some fun, bright fabrics, like we see here, I could use a gray thread, but I just felt like it was a lot more fun to use a pink neutral thread, which also happens to work with all of the jewel tones. So think outside and enjoy those other colors while you are stitching your quilt blocks together. All right, so to create our units, we have a right and a left unit when we're working with this type of a half rectangle triangle. You will know right away if you have miscut or if you're working with a right and a left. A right and a right are not going to join together. Right? You need for them to not be simply opposing units. They have to literally be cut a right and a left. Okay? So we have our fabric strip cut to the height of the unit that we're looking for, and whether we are cutting right or left hand units, the cut happens exactly the same way. The first thing that we'll do is to position our ruler. This is a 3-inch strip, so I need to make sure that my 3-inch line on my ruler is aligned with the raw edge of my fabric, and the nipped off point is at the top. The first cut is going to be to straighten the edge of the fabric. So over on the right hand side of my fabric, or left if you're a left-handed cutter, we're going to straighten that edge, and then we can literally just rotate the fabric on our mat, keeping the grip right in place over the fabric, and our ruler will slide right along our Quilters Select mat. Then we'll make our angle cut, rotate, cut, rotate, cut, and continue our way down the length of the fabric. Remember that we nipped off the top edge of that rectangle, and so we'll take rectangle A. When we're ready to join these together, we're going to take a rectangle A and a rectangle B, or a left and a right rectangle. We're going to lay them right sides together. The triangle on the unnipped point will fill right in, and we'll start stitching here. Now, if you prefer, you could simply nip off the other triangle end using that squared off edge of your ruler so that you're working straight edge to straight edge. This really is a matter of personal preference in which way you prefer. But you'll start stitching right here, stitch all the way down the end of your unit, and you will have a perfect 1/4 inch seam. For this type of unit, I do prefer to press my seams open. It's much easier when we start joining multiple units together to eliminate bulk and to make it easier to stitch down that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So what do we do with all of these units once we have them put together? This is your basic unit, and I would recommend cutting a few just to try it. It's something a little different than our traditional laying our squares or our rectangles together. And it does take a little bit of practice. I would say once you've sewn 2 or 3 of these together, you will be an expert. Then you're going to simply stitch a basic use rows together to create a larger unit, or you can start playing with color. Same units stitched together, but here we have more of a blendy colorway, and you could use your units or your rulers to fussy cut motifs out of your fabrics. And again, making sure that you are using the right or the left ruler according to which end of the strip set or which portion of your rectangle you're stitching together. You could even take that one step further, and here we have all of our rectangles going in the same direction. You can also start flip-flopping the units around to create a multi-fabric diamond. Now you could, of course, cut diamonds, but this, by using the half rectangle triangles, you get a lot more versatility and a lot more color and play and interest within your block than just cutting a one fabric diamond. Now you can take this even a little bit further once you have your units together, and then start just playing with the direction that you're laying out each of the individual units. So here we have some of them going this direction, we have some of them going this direction. So now we've created that diagonal running down through the larger piece of the project. So I hope you will enjoy experimenting with these rulers as much as I do, and you'll find that the twins work beautifully in conjunction with the 60-degree diamond ruler and the 60-degree triangle ruler. They make a great family of 60-degree shapes, and you can be designing so many projects with these. We can't wait to see what you come up with.